Hi everyone. This time we're going to talk about one of the most controversial topics in nutrition, dietary supplements. Do they provide extra nutritional support that improves how our body functions? Can complex illnesses be healed with the addition of vitamins? Or do we just get really expensive pee? The evidence is all over the place, ranging from truly remarkable results to near disastrous outcomes. Before you start downing random pills to fix all your problems, let's take a look at some different views on supplementation so we can figure out how to intelligently use these resources to best support our health. Many experts in medical and nutrition fields recommend getting your nutrients from food alone. After all, the body tends to regulate these things fairly well, and a healthy person with a good diet will likely not derive a lot of benefit from extra nutrients. Their bodies just flush out the excess. There's also good evidence that too many nutrients can even cause harm. Some studies on beta-carotene and vitamin E actually showed a slight increase in all-cause mortality for supplementers. Fat-soluble vitamins like vitamins A and D can accumulate in the body and cause negative effects with sustained high doses. Too much iron can increase free radical damage, and the list goes on. To make matters worse, there are also regulatory issues. Supplements are not regulated by the FDA. Often, they don't even go through any kind of quality testing. Purity, safety, and efficacy of the product are all areas of concern. This market's worth over $100 billion annually, so that leaves a lot of potential for dangerous products to make their way onto the store shelves. Oftentimes, problems aren't even identified until many people have had adverse reactions. On the other hand, the same can be said of almost anything, including prescription medications. The safety records of supplements is stellar by comparison. The most likely issue to happen is actually product adulteration. Sometimes what's on the label is not what's in the capsule. These are very important issues, but there are ways to navigate some of these problems. Some stores like Natural Grocers or CVS require manufacturers to have their products tested by independent labs and submit the findings before they'll stock anything on the shelves. There are also many companies voluntarily testing their products through third parties with transparent documentation. It takes a little extra homework, but there really are some quality companies out there. As for the assertion that it's best to get our nutrients from food, well, this is absolutely true. Vitamins and minerals seem to function best within food complexes, which allows the body to better regulate absorption and utilization. The vitamin C in an orange is much more potent than the same amount from a supplement due to the nutrient cofactors it occurs with. So food would be ideal, but that's only if we lived in an ideal world. First off, most people don't eat well enough to even come close to getting the recommended daily intake of vitamins and minerals. Now, this is the amount that should be sufficient for around 98% of the population. And nearly all experts agree that supplements are beneficial for those with insufficient intakes, or especially with an established deficiency. Stress, illness, and genetics may increase your need for particular nutrients. Also, usually we just think in terms of deficiency, but the amount that ensures protection from a deficiency disease is not necessarily enough for optimal function in the body. Some nutrients are involved in literally hundreds of functions. To make matters worse, modern agriculture has done really well for increasing the quantity of food grown, but at some expense to the quality. It seems modern crops are slightly less nutrient dense, but of course we get more pesticides and herbicides to make up the difference. What this means is we have to eat slightly more vegetables and fruits to get the same amount of vitamins and minerals that our grandparents would have. It's a small amount, but a noteworthy difference for people already not eating enough. Also, time, temperature, and light degrade some nutrients in food, particularly the water-soluble vitamins like the B vitamins or vitamin C. When our food's processed, shipped, stored, cooked, and reheated, you can imagine what that's doing to the nutrient content. Supplementing to make up these differences starts to make a little bit of sense. This strategy is sometimes referred to as nutritional insurance. In keeping with this line of thought, there's also an emerging field of medicine called, appropriately enough, lifestyle medicine. The idea is the body will heal itself when you provide optimal circumstances. Good nutrition, proper exercise, and effective stress management are all key strategies. The body is supposed to function well and feel good. We've disrupted this natural state with junk food, a sedentary life, and never-ending stress. It really should be emphasized that any approach you undertake to restore your health needs to focus on these aspects. Whether you take medications or supplements, if you don't address the causes, you'll never really get ahead of the problem. Keep this in mind as we look at supplementation. Lifestyle does the heavy lifting while supplements provide fine-tuning. The concept of using natural means to promote health is not a new one. After all, the pharmaceutical industry began by creating standardized versions of natural herbal remedies. This allowed for more consistency and potency in treatment, but it also created the perception that the way we deal with disease is with a pill or injections. This approach has saved many lives and is unparalleled for an acute intervention. However, if a patient doesn't change anything else, it just becomes long-term chronic disease management, where new medications must be prescribed to address side effects from current ones. Shortly after this pharmaceutical revolution, vitamins and minerals were being isolated from foods. We were discovering that many illnesses were simply nutrient deficiencies. We could restore the nutrient to the diet and the disease would be prevented or cured. Scurvy, rickets, and pellagra are a few examples. This line of thought also developed into its own path. Instead of pharmaceuticals, we had nutraceuticals. Interest grew into research examining the effects of targeted nutrient therapy for a vast range of illnesses. But this is also where things become pretty controversial. While it's clear that optimal nutrition best supports the body, it's still an area of intense debate at what level of supplementation this ceases to be the case and for what illnesses. Efficacy is of course a big concern, especially when conventional, proven treatments are neglected. But this approach still has some strengths. Vitamins and minerals are not addictive and tend to have far less negative side effects when taken in the indicated amounts. Well worth examining, but a discussion for another day. What we're more concerned with now, though, is the value of supplementation for the average individual. Given most Americans don't eat enough vegetables, fruits, whole grains, or beans, odds are they're missing some vitamins and minerals too. Food is best, but it's better to get some nutrition than none at all, even if it's coming from a pill. A multivitamin with daily values around 100% can help fill in the gaps. At this level, you're far below the upper tolerable limit, which is the amount that could potentially have side effects. Intelligent use of a multivitamin can reduce inadequate micronutrient intake and the risk for some chronic diseases. Depending on the rest of your diet, you may also consider supplementing with magnesium and or calcium, as these are not often found in multivitamin, multimineral formulations. Now, you're not trying to treat a health condition here. You just want to support what you may not be getting in food, so no megadoses are necessary. The exception are the water-soluble vitamins. Higher doses of B vitamins or vitamin C aren't generally problematic. Your body easily flushes out the excess and you only absorb a fraction of some of these nutrients anyway. Within reason, though, stick to the label recommendations on the bottle unless otherwise indicated by a qualified provider. Omega-3s are another nutrient that most people likely don't get enough of. If you eat fatty fish like salmon a couple times a week, you're probably good. Two specific omega-3s called EPA and DHA are fats found in certain foods that help our body better control the inflammatory response and just leads to better cellular health. We usually eat too little of these. The fats in fried foods and fatty meat tend to promote inflammation, and we definitely eat too many of those. Now, if we limit the offenders, we're way better off, but we still may not have enough omega-3s in the diet. It really just depends on your genetics. Some people can convert more of another kind of fat called ALA into enough EPA and DHA. If that's the case, a tablespoon or two of ground flaxseed could get you there. Some other good sources would be chia seeds or walnuts. But for everyone else, and I like to point out, unless you've been tested, you'd never know, a small supplement can kind of cover that gap. Fish oil, of course, works, or there are algae oil choices for vegans. All in all, though, the rest of your diet is probably a bigger determinant for your health, so if you limit fatty meats and fried foods, you'll be most of the way there. To round out our discussion on supplements beneficial for general use, we have probiotics. For a long time, we thought germs were just plain bad and we tried to kill off all of them. But it turns out there are billions of beneficial bacteria residing in our gut that are likely supporting our health in ways that would have seemed unbelievable only a couple decades ago. We're finding the health of our digestive system regulates our immunity, can affect our mood, and may even set the stage for chronic illness. This microbiota is very sensitive to our lifestyle. How we eat, if we exercise, and how crazy we get with all the stress can make dramatic shifts in these populations. See how it all ties together? And we don't just have beneficial bacteria in our systems. That's not how life works. There's always a bit of tug of war between bacteria species. Some help break down food, synthesize vitamins, protect our system from invaders, and regulate hormonal responses. And there are other ones that can damage our system and promote inflammation if left unchecked. How we maintain the balance? Well, what we feed is what we get. It turns out all those foods we know are good for health also support good bacteria. The fiber and whole plant foods we can't digest very well actually feed the beneficial bugs. They create all kinds of health-promoting byproducts as a result. And yes, there may be a little gas in there too, but don't worry, your system will adapt. Sugar, fatty meats, and fried foods create an ideal place for less than friendly bugs. The challenge for supplementation is what's in the pill has to work well with what's in your gut. There are quite a few formulations available that use all different strains of probiotics, and there's endless variety in the personal microbiome. This can be a real trial and error process until you find the one that makes you feel better. Digestive function will usually be the easiest parameter to evaluate. This can work, but you need to provide a hospitable environment with lifestyle at the same time. A little additional vitamin C might also be a good idea. If you're interested in how that can help support your immune system, watch the Immune Support PowerPoint if you've not already done so. All in all, there's decent evidence for including intelligent supplementation in your health routine, just not at the expense of lifestyle. Remember, they're called supplements, not replacements. Big results come from comprehensive efforts. If you're in a boat that's sinking, you can think of supplements as a little pail to help you bail out the water. But lifestyle is actually getting underneath the boat and plugging the holes that are letting in the water. If you put both of these approaches together, then you have a plan for getting where you want to go. Thanks for watching, everyone.